Okay. Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everyone who are living all over the world. And today, my guest is Nora Dunn, known as the professional hobo on her YouTube channel. And Ma'am Nora has been a digital nomad since 2006, and she helps people design their lifestyle and arrange their affairs to travel long term while working remotely. So, Mom Nara, thank you for this interview and welcome to my little channel and to my viewers. so,
It's such a pleasure
uh,
to be here. Thank you.
okay, so ma'am, let's get started. And first is please tell us about your channel, its content, and future plans, and the title Professional Hubu.
Well, my YouTube channel, although I've had my YouTube channel and have worked on it on and off since like 2007,
Mm.
my biggest home on the internet is my website, which is
Ah,
theprofessionalhobo.com. However, having said that, after being, one of the original travel bloggers and really building up this resource online, I realized that I'd been neglecting my YouTube channel for way too long. And I would spend some time at YouTube channel, as you well know, Sharon, it's a lot of work. And
yes.
so I would spend all this time creating these travel videos and they wouldn't really get traction or a lot of views. So I would get bogged down and I would stop because I wouldn't see results. And then a few years later, I'd start again and then I'd stop and then I'd start and stop. And I did that for like
Yes.
15 years of starting and stopping.
Mm.
And finally, about 8 months ago, I decided to get serious about my YouTube channel. And I wanted to
Mm.
really create content that was going to be really useful for people. It was going to put to use 17 years of travel experience
Mm.
in a way that I could help people. So I hired a mentor who was an expert in YouTube and really showed me how to create videos that will get views.
Ah, okay.
So I started a series on my channel called Travel Smart in Style. And there are videos, I try to make them 8 to 10 minutes long, but some of them end up being 15, 20 minutes, sometimes
Yes.
longer, right? Because I have a lot to say,
Yes.
apparently. And it's all tips to help people techniques and ways of doing things, how to clear security, how to save money, booking flights, all kinds of tips and stuff, as well as some of the, like I have a video coming out in a few weeks about the ugly truth of full-time travel
Okay.
and what some of the realities of this long-term full-time travel lifestyle is like. I also do tons of gear reviews. I love nerding out on gear, packing tools, packing cubes, luggage, day packs, all the things. I'm all about it. So I do lots of that as well.
You are very energetic.
That I am.
okay. And ma'am, please cite and explain your checklist of 10 things to do before traveling long term. Are they all mandatory?
Well, it's subjective, right? Nothing's mandatory, really. You could just buy a ticket
Yes.
and get on a plane and hope for the best. But if you are planning a life and lifestyle of long-term travel, there are a lot of things that need to be done, and it can be very overwhelming. It can be so overwhelming that sometimes people stop before they even get started. So,
yes.
sometimes when you're looking at a really big mountain of things to do in front of you, it's really difficult to take that first step. So, this checklist is a way of taking that first step in a way that isn't so painful. And it helps you make you aware of the things that you need to think about if you want to travel well. I mean, I made every mistake in the book. I started in 2006. Nobody did what I was doing. I mean, I wasn't the only person doing it, but there weren't a lot of people doing what I was doing. So I had to figure everything out from scratch and I did everything wrong. And I don't want anyone else to have those experiences. So, what do you do with your mail when you travel long term? How do you know the right things to pack or what kind of luggage to get? What kind of credit cards do you have? How do you handle cash and cards and debit cards? And what are the ATM and bank fees like? How do you plan your travels? right? How do you find accommodation along the way when you're going long term? What kind of pace should you set? So, this checklist of 10 things to do or to consider before you travel long term will help give you some of that food for thought and help get you really actually step by step ticking these things off your list.
Yes, and I will follow that because for you to have planned list, it's a best choice so that you will not have a hassle to travel. You will not forget anything. So all are prepared.
Exactly, exactly. And I'll give you links to the checklist and my channel and all of
Mm,
these things that you can include in the description of this live stream.
okay. Okay, thank you, ma'am. Because I am planning to travel Thailand.
Hey, there you go. When are you going to go?
Maybe June or first week of July. It's around that.
And how long will you go for?
I think 3 days only.
Okay. And
Mm.
why Thailand? What are you going to do there?
Because I saw quite a lot of vloggers that they are showing food from Thailand. That I heard that the food in Thailand are very delicious, and then the costs there are not expensive. It's cheap, and then you can rent condo or a hotel in a very cheap price.
Yeah, it's true. And Thai food is some of the best. It's
Yes,
incredibly delicious. So make sure
yes.
you visit all the markets because the street food is where it's at, really.
Yes. And I am curious also about the fluting market.
Ah, okay. Yes, in
Mm.
Bangkok.
Yes.
Yes, very cool. Yes, definitely check that out.
Yes. And mom, do you have any safety concerns traveling abroad as a female solo traveler? Have you ever encountered any problems, abuse, or misconduct?
Well, yes and no. I mean, nothing terrible has happened to me as a solo female traveler, but I also use street sense and I also take precautions. So, as an example, I was in Cuenca, Ecuador, and I was out with some friends. And it was myself and another solo female traveler, and then a couple of other friends. And I noticed that this other solo female traveler at one point, I mean, we were doing good. We hadn't really had a lot to drink per se, but we were. I think at one point we were at a karaoke bar or something, and we got up to dance. And then we came back to our table, and she said, "Huh, my drink is full." And she doesn't remember her drink being, she thought, "Oh well, maybe Jerry, the other guy we're with, got me
Mhm.
another drink," so she drank it. So that was her first mistake. She did not see,
Mm.
she left a drink unattended, first of all. And then she did not see this, she didn't know where this new drink came from, and she made an assumption.
Mm.
And then we went to another bar, and she disappeared to go down to the bar to get a drink. And she came back a little while later with her drink, and she said, "Oh, somebody bought this for me. Isn't that sweet?"
Ah.
And again, it was a drink that she had not seen poured. So, as nice as that was, the problem was a little while later, she became very like it was like she was like really drunk. Like she was
Ah.
stumbling around, she couldn't had no balance, she was kind of in and out of consciousness. Like basically, she'd been drugged, and I knew this. So, I poured her into a taxi and I made sure that the taxi driver took her directly home. And I asked her to text me when she got home because I still wasn't sure that something bad had happened to her. I thought maybe she just had more to drink than I thought. I don't know. And then her boyfriend texted me a little bit later and said, "What happened when you guys went out?" And I said, "Yeah, she got a little bit weird. He said, "We're in the hospital." And I said, "What happened?" And he said she got out of the taxi and she fell and she cut her head. But while they were in the hospital stitching her up, they took a blood sample and she had been drugged. So what she did right is she was with friends because I would not let her out of my sight after that had happened. Because if someone had drugged her, they were also watching her to catch her alone. So they could
Yes.
maybe do something that was not nice. So, look, when you're a solo female traveler, don't get drunk alone, period.
Mm.
Don't leave a drink unattended. And don't drink something if you haven't seen it poured. So that's just one way that you can make sure that you stay safe as a solo female
Mm.
traveler. right? There are lots of different ways that you can, and I have some very popular videos on my website about anti-theft tips, travel
Mm,
security tips, traveling alone as a woman, and various ways that you can stay safe in so doing. And the reality is, it it's not. It doesn't have to be difficult. It doesn't have to curtail or curb your experiences. It's just a matter of putting certain things into practice, and then eventually, once you do it enough, it becomes natural anyway.
yes. Fortunately, I get away from alcohol.
Yeah, right. It's bad news.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Yeah, I just only drink alcohol where I drink flavored beer where there is 5% alcohol in it.
Yeah, there you go. I have
Yeah.
a question for you. As a solo
Okay.
female traveler myself, when I come to the Philippines, is there anything that I should know in terms of staying safe?
Don't go outside in the middle of the night if you feel that that place is not safe, so don't go out. And then mostly here, Filipino people are very friendly. If you ask them something, even they don't know how to respond to you in English, but they are doing their best to answer on your questions. But all Filipino people are friendly, except that there are some places in the Philippines are not safe, but that place is just like squatter area. And then yes, and then especially in Cebu City, there is a place there that it's not good for to go out or walking during the middle of the night because it's not safe place there. But just only on that place, but other place on Cebu City, it's good that you can go out because there are some restaurant, hotel, fast food, 24 hours open. Yeah. But there is only one place in Cebu City where is Colon area. So that part is not safe for to go outside or walking during the night.
That's good to know. I
Yes.
took notes. And that's
Yes.
another safety tip as well. When you go somewhere new, if you're not familiar with the place and you don't know what to do to stay safe, always ask somebody. And
Yes. You can
they'll tell
ask.
you. They'll say don't go into this area, or like you
Yes.
say, don't go out at night in certain places.
Yes.
That's very valuable. The most valuable information you can get is always going to be from a local.
Yes, and you can ask also to the taxi driver. The taxi driver also teach to you that we don't go that way because it's dangerous. But you must be very careful also to the taxi driver that you must ride. Yes, because you cannot trust. But I think most of the taxi driver now they have contact to each other, so they have like a group voice that I have a passenger going to this destination. And yes, so there is
Is
a
Go on.
okay. It's mostly the taxi driver here in Cebu City are safe because they have contact. So they will report to their main office that okay, my passenger is going to that hotel, and then this is the street. Yes.
Is ride sharing like Uber a thing in the Philippines?
Uber, Grab.
Uber and Grab. Okay.
Yes.
See, for me as a solo female traveler, I prefer those apps
Mm,
because the first of all, you can see online the driver has a
mm,
profile, but they're also accountable to getting you to where you go. Like sometimes, I don't know if this happens in the Philippines, but happens in many other countries. If you get in a
mm,
taxi and the taxi knows, if the driver knows that you don't know the area, and they'll turn the meter on and they will
y-
go the very, very, very long way to get there because they're just going to run up the fare. Whereas with Uber or Grab, the fare is the fare. So they're going to get you there as fast as possible. And I like
yes.
that. I feel that it's the most
Mm.
accountable in terms of those apps because there's less of a chance that they're going to try to ask you for more money or take longer than they need to.
Yes, same here in the Philippines. There are also a taxi driver are like that. Better to Grab or Uber because you know exactly how much you pay for them. Because when I was, but mostly taxi driver doing that to the make the meter higher if they know the person that it's not real there or tourist. They make the price higher because I experienced that when I went to Manila last year December. From the airport going to my hotel, the taxi driver asked me 1,000 pesos. But when I went back to Cebu and I take Grab car,
Mhm.
I only pay 300 pesos.
Whoa. And that it makes me angry, right? When I learn after the fact
Yes,
that I got ripped off, it's like, no.
yes,
So I know that pain.
yes. It happened also here in the Philippines.
Wow. Yeah.
Okay. And mom, how do you carry cash safely and securely when traveling? Is cash a safe thing to do?
Good question. I have a video about that as well. I think you've been studying my channel, haven't you? um, it's a loaded question. To be perfectly honest, cash, I prefer not to carry cash. Like if I am in a country where cards are accepted and common, like if I can pay for anything anywhere in the world with a credit card, I'm gonna do that
Mm,
for a few different reasons. First of all, cash, like if cash is stolen, that's it. There's no recourse.
yes.
If your credit card is stolen or if there are fraudulent purchases on your credit card, you don't have to pay for that. The credit card company will deal with that fraudulent purchase and they will give you a new credit card. If your debit card, if your bank card is stolen and they get your PIN number, they can drain your bank account. And again,
Yes.
you may not have any, that's it, your money's gone. So there are still some places, obviously, where you need to use cash. I understand that. And so I do like to carry a little bit of cash with me. And if I do need to carry cash, I do definitely have a few strategies for how I do that. One of which is I don't carry it all in one place on me, right? So I will have, if I'm going to a marketplace, for example, I'm going to get my fruits and vegetables for the week, and or I'm negotiating for some, I don't know, souvenirs.
Yes.
I will keep the money that I think that I'm going to spend in small bills in a pocket or a wallet that's easily accessible. And so when anybody sees me reach in for my money, this is the money that's going to be there, but it's only going to be what I think I might spend on that day. Any other money I have with me will be somewhere else on my body and no one will ever see that. So it'll be in a different pocket or a hidden pocket or inside my purse, maybe. And then my spending money might be in a pocket instead. So I do that. If I'm traveling with somebody, we split the cash between us.
Mm,
I also make sure that I have some cash in a little pouch. So I always have a little
mm,
pouch that is hidden in a different bag. Like I'll hide it in my luggage. And that will have a spare credit card and a little bit of cash to get me by just in case my wallet and purse is stolen with everything else in it. Right? So I always diversify where and how I carry my cash. And that's one way to help stay safe.
okay. Yeah, I'm doing that also. Even here in Lapu-Lapu, I separate my coins or small bills in a little pouch and my big amount on the other pocket, or I put in the little pocket on inside my bag.
Yeah, absolutely. Very smart.
Yes. Hmm.
And that's it. A lot of the tools, a lot of the tricks for travel and traveling safely and securely, you can use at home as well. Like I
Yes.
do all of this, like street sense, carrying cash, all of this stuff. I do it in my hometown and my home country as well.
Okay. And first, I would like to say, Paul Samkins, thank you. Okay. And ma'am, what kind of travel insurance do you have or use for medical emergencies or comprehensive coverage? Has it been tested?
Yes and yes. As in, yes, I travel with insurance. I think it's absolutely imperative
Mm,
for anyone who says, "Oh, I'm not going to get insurance. If something happens, I'll just crowd fund."
yes.
I will unfriend you and block you. It's your responsibility to cover these things. So, and travel
Mm,
insurance is an inexpensive way to deal with what could be an expensive emergency. So,
Mhm.
travel insurance is for medical emergencies abroad. That's the main reason. I mean, there's other kinds of travel insurance. Like if you buy a regular travel insurance policy, it probably also has baggage loss insurance and flight delay and trip cancellation. And those are important, but nothing is as important as emergency
See.
medical insurance. So
Okay.
when you are shopping for a travel insurance policy, I know it's soul destroying work, but you got to read it. You got to read the policy.
Yes.
You have to know how the travel insurance company operates before a problem happens. And so it was the first time I ever had to make an insurance claim. I was traveling with my boyfriend at the time. We were in Thailand and he got dengue fever.
Ah,
And it was bad. He was in the hospital for a full week. And we had the travel insurance claim was very complicated. And because he was laying in a hospital bed, I was the one that had to deal with it all.
yes.
And there were a number of different expenses that we had to claim. So there was the outpatient expense at the hospital while he had the initial test and got the diagnosis. Then there was the inpatient 1 week in a hospital and all of that entailed. Then we also had to, our Thai visas ran out while we were in the hospital. So
Okay.
I had to go to the immigration office with the hospital paperwork and get our visas extended. And there was somebody at the hospital who came with us to do that, but that was expensive. And we had tickets, of course, out of the country that we had to cancel. And we had to
Okay.
buy new tickets when he got out of the hospital. So all of these were expenses that were covered under travel insurance. And what I learned through that experience is, first of all, always call the travel insurance company. First thing, as soon as something happens, call the insurance company because they may tell you what hospital to go to because they may have some arrangements with hospitals where they can pay the hospital directly for the costs, but they may also have other hospitals where they can't cover you at all. So
Okay.
make sure you call them first if at all possible. Also keep records of everything. Keep every single piece of paper that you have. Keep records, take notes every time you phone the insurance company. Note the date, note the time, and the name of the person that you spoke to.
Mm.
You may need this information later because I did, right? So I kept notes of everything. I kept receipts of everything. I sent it all in and I and I kept copies. I had to, this was a long time ago,
Okay.
so I had to mail everything in. So I had this package like this. I mailed in collated copies of everything. I mailed it all in, but I had a copy of everything at home as well. And I noticed that the insurance company, they made many mistakes, right? So they would only cover part of a claim, or they would, perfect example of a mistake they made. We had tickets, train tickets to Malaysia out of Thailand,
Mm.
but we bought the tickets with, I guess we bought the tickets in Malaysian ringgit, which is obviously a different currency from Thai baht. When
Yes.
they reimbursed us that amount, but in Thai baht. So instead
Ah.
of paying us 200 Malaysian ringgit, they paid us 200 Thai baht, which is like $4. Right? And
My
so I
God.
called them and I said, "You made a mistake." And they said, "No, we didn't." And I said, "Well, actually, you did." No, we didn't.
Yes.
Right. So I said, "All right, fine. Turn to, the package that I sent you. Okay, turn to page, whatever it is, 15, right? And you see that you see the train ticket? Yeah, yeah. You see
Mm.
how it says, Malaysian ringgit? Yes. Now you see on the check you issued to me, it says Thai baht? Yes. That's a mistake." And they said, "No." And they said, "No, it's not." And we went back and forth like this. I said, "Okay, you know what? I need to speak to your supervisor, please." So that was an example of one where I had to escalate and escalate and escalate again. But there were a
Mm.
few different problems with this claim, things that they would not cover initially that I had to advocate for because I read the policy. I knew that there was coverage for it, but I also
Yes.
I also had to fight for it. So keep records of everything and be prepared to fight for what it is that you paid for, which is travel insurance.
Yes.
And if you're polite and you just keep escalating and you just keep asking for supervisors and you take notes, you will eventually get the money. I mean, unfortunately, I think insurance is very necessary, but I also think that insurance companies are designed, like once it comes time to make a claim, their job is to try to get out of paying.
Yes. Okay.
So as long as you're prepared for that, You'll be okay.
Yes, better to have evidence about your purchasing ticket or something or receipt.
Because if you do land in the hospital or something happens to you in a remote location and you need evacuation, that could destroy your life. Like that could bankrupt you, and that's it, you're done. So,
Yes.
a little bit of money on insurance and perhaps a little bit of heartache in making a claim could save your life.
Yes. Okay. That's why sometimes I told to my subscribers to check your insurance company because not all insurance and Philippines are not accepted all the insurance company. They are selected to
Yeah.
accept insurance.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. And ma'am, can you please provide and explain 10 of your 21 travel security tips?
you you basically want me to recite half of my video of 21 security
Yes.
tips. No, I'm not going to give you 10 tips, but
Okay.
um well, I don't know. Are there any specific travel security tips that you want to know?
Okay, any of the 21.
Okay. Here's a perfect example then.
Mm.
If you have a purse, and instead of, I always suggest if you're wearing any kind of purse or bag, wear it crossbody style,
Ah, okay.
because it is common in certain places for basically, like, let's say you're walking along the sidewalk,
Mm.
it is common for someone to come up beside you on like a motorcycle or a scooter,
Mm.
and they can, if it's just on your shoulder, they just grab your purse and keep going, and you don't, there's no chance to catch them, right?
Yeah,
So
exactly.
that's a potential problem that can happen. If you're wearing it crossbody, that's not as likely to happen, and you
Mm.
have more of an ability to be hands free when you need to. So I definitely think that that's a good way. And also, if you want to take that another step further, I like to use anti-theft travel gear. So I there's a company called PackSafe that I love all of their stuff. It's fashionable. They've got purses, slings, backpacks, wallets,
Mm.
luggage, all the things. And it's all made in such a way, it all looks very normal and very nice.
Mm.
And it's all made with recycled fishing nets, plastic fishing nets from the ocean.
Ah,
So it's
okay.
environmentally friendly, but it also all has these unique little security features in it. So the
Ah.
material will be slash proof, and the straps will be slash proof as well. The
Mm.
zippers will be tamper proof, and there will be little features that keep the zipper locked in such a way that if you're in a busy marketplace and you're getting jostled around, someone doesn't have the ability to open up your zippers without you knowing,
Perfect. Mm.
or to slash the bottom of your bag without you
Ah,
knowing.
okay.
Stuff like that.
Okay, yes. That's right. That's what I did also. I put my bag close to me, close my body.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, because it happened also here, mom, that there was a woman who put her bag here on her shoulder, but like what you said, motorcycle or scooter come behind her and grab her bag.
Yeah. So it does happen there too. Yep.
Yes, it
It
happened
can
here.
happen anywhere, really.
Mm.
Also, I'll say, so I was in Cusco in Peru, and I had just finished doing some shopping. I was with some friends. We got into a taxi, and I was sitting in the front and my friends were sitting in the back, and we got out of the taxi, and I had all these shopping bags. So I was focusing on the shopping bags, and I pulled them out. What I didn't realize is that my purse had slipped off my shoulder, and I left it in the passenger, like in the foot, in the wheel well where my feet was,
Okay.
of the taxi. So I left my purse in the taxi because I was not wearing it crossbody. And I realized immediately what I had done, but by that point the taxi driver was driving away. So we ran after him and started shouting, at which point he started driving a little faster. And then he ran a red light. So, of course, by that point, we realized he knew he had the purse and he was not going to give it back.
Yeah.
So, I could have prevented that. It's so funny because I mentioned this in my video and I said it was my fault because I had the purse on my shoulder. I let it. It was my fault. I left it in the taxi. But people got really angry. It's not your fault. You were robbed. And I thought, well, no. I mean, I made the first mistake. It's definitely the taxi's driver's fault. It's definitely the driver's fault that he continued driving away with it once he
Oh,
realized he
yes.
had it. But you know what? As far as I'm concerned, when it comes to travel safety and security, the first responsibility is ours to be safe. So I do believe that the onus is on the traveler to do everything you can to be safe without being paranoid or distrustful. It's just standard things, practices that you can put into place to make sure that nothing bad happens.
Yes, but ma'am, if the taxi, if he is an honest person, he will go back where the place you stop for to give it back to your belongings because it happened here. Taxi driver left. There was a passenger, um, 10 years that he didn't came back to the Philippines. He was from Taiwan and then he both quite a lot of money. I think 400,000 pesos. I think he purchased that on his bank here in the Philippines, but he forget it inside the taxi, but the taxi driver returned the money on him.
Mm,
Yes.
mm-mm. Well, good. You know what? And I think that, really and truly, I think it's important to stay safe and to know how to stay safe.
Yes.
But I also think it's important to recognize that 99% of the people in the world are good and
Yes.
honest and nice. The problem is it's that 1% we have to just be aware of. And
Mm.
we can't go through the world expecting that everyone is going to be 100% honest.
Yes. Okay. And what time of casual travel outfits would you recommend for female travelers? Are jeans number one on your list?
Generally speaking, no. Jeans are heavy.
Mm,
Jeans take if you are they take forever to dry if you
mm,
wash them. They take up a lot of space in your luggage. They're not
yes.
practical travel pants. So for me, I like to travel long term with carry-on luggage only. So if I'm going to bring jeans, it can only be one pair, and I must wear them on my travel days because they won't fit into my luggage. And they need to be travel friendly jeans. Like I have a pair of jeans from a company called Aviator. That's the first pair of jeans that I had in over 10 years because I don't
Oh,
wear jeans normally. Because they're not travel friendly. But these jeans from Aviator made the cut for me because they dry 25% faster than denim.
um,
So I can wash them, I can air dry them. In a few hours, they will be dry. And they have a nice bit of stretch to them as well. So they are comfortable as well. So I do have jeans, and they have really good pockets. They're the only jeans I've ever owned, the only pants I've ever owned as a woman that have pockets large enough for my smartphone and have a hidden pocket at the back for a passport. So
mm,
I like these jeans, but generally speaking, I don't wear jeans. I don't like them. I prefer lighter weight pants that dry a little quicker and maybe sometimes have a little bit more style.
okay. Okay. When I will travel, I will not bring so much. I just only bring one jeans.
There you go. Only bring one pair. Just one.
Yeah, one pair of jeans. Okay. And mom, are there any specific type of shoes you recommend for airplanes and travel in general? How many pairs should a nomad traveler have?
I have a bit of a problem with shoes. I always have trouble choosing what shoes to bring, but there are two companies that I work with that I love their shoes. The first is a barefoot shoe company called Zero, spelled Xero.
Mm,
And the reason I love them is, and I use these, so I have a pair of shoes from Zero that I use as um, my running shoes, workout shoes, kind of hike around town shoes, but also hiking shoes. So instead
okay.
of bringing bulky hiking boots that I don't are not graceful anyway, I don't like big hiking boots. These are barefoot shoes, so they're super lightweight. They practically roll up,
Mm.
but also too because they're barefoot shoes, that means there's zero drop. So they're very, very minimalist shoes. And for me, when I'm hiking, this makes a huge difference. I'm actually a way better hiker with these shoes because I can feel the ground beneath me. So when I put my foot somewhere, I know whether or not it's going to stick or
Ah,
slip.
okay.
Right. Whereas
Yes.
when I would use hiking boots,
Mm.
I don't know, it's just they're big and clunky, and I don't know. I'm not very graceful. So I like those because it's one pair of shoes that does a whole bunch of different things. I can go hiking, working out,
Okay.
casual walkout, all those things. My other shoes will be made by a company called Vivaya. They're super fashionable. They're made from recycled plastic bottles. So I like
Ah,
the environmental aspect of it. They're ridiculously comfortable. They have antimicrobial insoles, so they don't
mm,
smell. They're
yes.
super lightweight, and they're really fashionable.
Ah,
So
so-
you can, I have a video on my channel about both of those things. So you can see I've got like 5 pairs of Avaya shoes. I don't bring all 5 pairs with me. I choose one or two
Ah,
maximum.
okay.
So in terms of the shoes that I will travel with on a trip, like for example, I am going to be going away soon. I'm spending 3 months in Europe. I'm traveling with carry-on luggage only. So I'll bring my Zero shoes. My Zero, the model that I'm bringing is called Prio.
Mm,
They're basic all-around shoes that will do everything. Though I'm going to live in the mountains of Bulgaria, so I'm going to be hiking. I'm going to be in Estonia, so I'll be on streets, regular streets. I'll be in Madeira as well. So those will be the shoes that I'll bring for that, for any active stuff. And then for walking around town and also for anything that I might dress up with a little bit, I will bring my Vivaya Vienna pointed toe flats,
ah,
which are
okay.
beautiful. I always get compliments on them. So those will be my not active casual shoes, but they're also
Mm,
dressy. So they're a little bit of everything. And then I will
ah,
bring a pair of sandals or flip flops for just like super
okay.
like beach days.
Okay. And you have been traveling for many years. Please name your top 10 countries or destinations and why they are your top five.
Yeah, okay. So you started with 10 and then you saw my reaction and then you went down to 5. Okay. All right. Um, so I always preface the answer to this question because people always ask, "What's your favorite country?"
Mm,
And I understand why people ask that question because it helps provide some context for what kind of
mm,
traveler you are. But I also always say that your favorite place and my favorite place, or your experience of a place and my experience of the same place will be
please. Mm,
very different. And that's because travel is contextual. The actual place where you are has only very little to do with whether or not it's going to become your favorite place. It's much more about who you're with, how you're feeling, and what you're doing. The most beautiful sunset in the world could be a
yes,
tragic, tragic sight if you've just had your heart broken, right?
exactly.
It's not going to be your
Yes.
favorite place. But if you're falling in love and you're with for love while you're watching that sunset,
Sunset.
that's going to be your favorite place,
Yeah, it's very memorable.
right? So, having
Yes.
said that, I will still answer the question because people don't like me to say that it's
Um,
contextual. So, I will say, Peru was an amazing place. Even though I told the story of having my purse stolen, I lived in Peru in the Sacred Valley for 2 years. I had an incredible experience there. The diversity of landscapes is amazing. I mean, they've got jungles and high altitude mountains and beaches and deserts and the plains, and like they've got all these things, and they've got some of the most amazing food in the world. So I liked Peru. I like New Zealand. New Zealand is beautiful, beautiful nature. And the people are amazing and friendly. And I love the New Zealand accent as well. It's fantastic.
Okay.
And New Zealand is not a country that you can like accidentally pass by, right? You
Mm.
have to really want to go there. It's not on the way to anywhere. So the intention with which someone goes to New Zealand actually makes that a special place. I've never been asked to go past two, so that's really all I got. I'm looking at a map of the world above me. Where else? Well, I'll tell you what. Earlier this year, I really, really, really fell in love with the island of Madeira, which is
Ah,
part of Portugal, but it's basically off the coast of Western Africa. And the climate is amazing, the scenery is epic, the food is
my
delicious, and the
God.
people are friendly. So that was fantastic. I did live for a few years in the Caribbean. That was really interesting. Um, I don't know. I liked Switzerland. The trains are on time. The food in Thailand and Vietnam is absolutely amazing. So I'll give you that. But yeah, that's enough to start with, I think.
Mm, okay. Do you enjoy traveling solo or do you think a companion, male or female, would be a game changer? Why or why not?
I've traveled solo, I've traveled with partners, I've traveled with friends. So I have all of the experiences, and I don't know that I necessarily prefer any one of those. I think that sometimes traveling with a partner is great. Generally speaking, I like when you can travel with people, if it's a friend or a partner, it doesn't really matter, because they help you, like, you can have experiences together and then you can learn and grow together through those experiences, right? So you can, and when I'm traveling for many, many months, if I'm solo, I don't really, and if I'm going to a lot of different places, I don't really have what I refer to as a contextual baseline for my experiences. I don't have anybody over that can help reflect back to me what I'm learning and how I'm changing along the way. And that can be disorienting in the long run. Having said that, when you travel with somebody, you have to make compromises. So
Yes.
you, first of all, when you travel with somebody, you're together 24 hours a day,
I
7 days a week, and you have to always agree, or almost always, on what you're doing, when you're doing it, when do you eat, all these things. And travel is inherently stressful. You are in a foreign environment, you're not familiar with the place, you might have delayed flights, there may be things that will make what's already kind of stressful even more stressful, which means you're not your best self and they're not their best selves. And if you're not your
Exactly.
best selves together, this can be a problem. You can fight
Uh,
and you can get, so it can be a challenge to travel with somebody. So there's good and bad. And in the same way that there's good and bad in traveling with somebody, there's also good and bad in traveling solo. I love traveling solo because I have total freedom. I can do what I want, when I want,
yes.
where I want, how I want. If I want to change my plans, I can do that. No problems. And generally speaking, I do not find that I get lonely because I know how to, traveling solo does not mean necessarily being alone. You can be with
Mm,
people, you can take tours, you can join meetup groups, there's lots of, I meet people all the time when I'm solo. But again, like I said, it can get, in the long run, it can get a little bit lonely if you don't have someone along with you for the greater part of that journey.
ma'am, do you or have you encountered significant entry visa requirements on desired destination? How did you handle it and what advice for future travelers?
Well, I will say that I am lucky because I have a privileged passport. I'm from Canada. So this
Ah,
means that I have the ability to get into a lot of countries around the world without having to apply for visas, and without having the bureaucratic requirements or the restrictions that people in other countries can have. So I have to say, and also, I don't tend to go to places if it's going to be really difficult to get a visa.
okay.
So I was speaking with a friend of mine, and she was from uh, Kenya, and a Kenyan passport is not, there's not a lot of places that you can go easily with a Kenyan passport.
Yes.
And she said, but there are still plenty of places you can go. And she said, instead of going to a country that makes it very difficult to apply for a visa, she goes to the places that are easier to go to because she feels more welcome. So you can make travel choices depending on the passport that you have. But also, I have to give a huge shout out right now for I don't know how many people watching this live in the Philippines and want to travel with a Filipino passport. But I have a friend, an amazing friend. Her name is Kach Umandap, and she is her website and her all of her social channels are Two Monkeys Travel. And she's a Filipina who is visiting every single country in the world with a Filipino passport.
Ah,
So I highly recommend, and she advocates for Filipinos all over the place. For a while, she was living in Montenegro, in Europe, and she was specifically she had a business. I don't know if she still has this business. She was had this business specifically helping Filipino get residency in Montenegro. So
okay,
she's a
nice.
great advocate, an amazing resource, and a killer woman. She's amazing.
Okay, because ma'am, as a Filipino, it's hard for us to go outside the country because even Thailand, before we go to Thailand in the airport, immigration officer will investigate us. They ask quite a lot of question, and then they ask quite a lot of requirements like how long we've been stay in Thailand or how long you stay on that country, if you have tickets back and forth, and then hotel reservation, and then you have a credit card, properties, bank statements, if you have enough savings in the bank. And then it's really difficult for us. And then I had a friend of mine, they will go to Singapore for vacation, but there were five in group, but only three of them passed on the immigration officer interview. The two
Mhm.
was offloaded.
Yeah, I it's so unfortunate, and it's such a I wish that there were more equality. Like the fact that you're born in one place and that there's an arbitrary line called a country border
Yes.
that affects your opportunities to experience the world in the same way that someone born in a different country doesn't have those problems. This is very unfortunate. And I'd like to think that this is changing a little bit with the ability for, with the remote work boom and people, more and more people around the world working remotely, that now at least starts to present more wage equities. So jobs can be done for a certain, like a global standard wage as opposed to a local wage that prevents you from being able to get ahead in your countries. And so being able to earn remote livings for foreign companies is a help. And that starts to present more and more opportunities to be able to travel more. But this passport thing, we got to do something about this. There's actually
Yes.
there's actually a friend of mine. There's an organization called Plumia, and this is a part of it's a project that's part of Safety Wing, and Safety Wing is actually one of these long-term travel insurance companies designed for nomads. And Plumia is starting a project. Basically, they want to start a country on the internet to enable people to work remotely and travel. So one of the things that they're launching in a couple of years is the digital nomad passport visa, and it's one visa that you apply for that gives you access to travel to a certain number of countries. The idea, ultimately, their moonshot mission is that they will be able to build a country on the internet whereby that will have a passport that you can own that will give you access to more countries than perhaps your country of origin passport would be able to give you access to.
Okay. And here, especially if the people are working in the government, when they go travel or vacation, they ask government travel authority before they can go to vacation.
Yeah,
Yes, it's very hard here to go outside the country.
yeah.
Okay. And mom, you like Bali. Why the strong desire for Bali and Indonesia? Has your luck been good in Bali?
So I went to Bali once in 2017. And I had a really interesting experience in Bali. First of all, I think it's such a shame that people, it's almost like Bali is a separate country or place to Indonesia. Like,
Mm.
there are people who don't realize that Bali is part of Indonesia. um, it's a very different place as
Mm,
compared to the rest of Indonesia, but Indonesia is also there's so much variety in the country of Indonesia. It's amazing. Um, Bali is a beautiful, beautiful island, amazing people, and they practice Balinese Hinduism, which is this beautiful kind of way of life as much as it is a religion of sorts. And it is, and there's a lot of, I mean, there's great food, fantastic food, and the cost of living is obviously fairly good. Although there
mm,
has recently been a little bit of controversy around Bali. There are
okay.
people who are saying that Bali is no longer the place that it once was. It used to be a
Mm,
haven for digital nomads, and there are people now who now say that that's not the case anymore. That it is becoming gentrified, or the cost of living has gone up. It's not as affordable as it once was,
okay.
or that it's dirty now, or that there are people who are taking advantage of foreigners more than before. I haven't been there since 2017, so I can't personally speak to that experience. I will say that I had a great time when I was there, and I would certainly be open to returning. But it's another one of these places that it's like, when I'm sitting, I'm looking up at my world map. When I'm sitting up in Canada, way over here, like, Bali's a long way away. So when I go anywhere that is that far, I want
Mm,
to make sure that I can spend many months in that region of the world
mm,
to justify the cost and the financially and environmentally of taking an
mm.
airplane that far. And I want to make sure that I make the most of being able to spend a season in that region.
Okay. And if you had the option to retire or settle in Europe, Asia, Latin America, North America, Africa, or the other territory, which would you choose and why?
Don't make me choose. I don't know. I Okay, well, you know what? I mean, I'm Canadian. I was born and raised in Canada. I
Mm,
have the citizen, the residency, the passport here. It's
mm,
easy for me to be in Canada. And this is my culture and my people and all the things. So and Toronto in particular is an amazing city, to be honest. It's the most multicultural city in the world.
mm,
And I mean, within a 20-minute walk of my apartment in Toronto, I have like 15 different cuisines I can enjoy, from, Filipino to
mm.
Nepalese to Caribbean to Spanish to Greek to Thai to,
Yes.
all the things. So it's fantastic in that sense. Um, so in a sense, I guess that's it. I would make the choice of my home country. I think the more I travel the world, the more of those experiences and that knowledge I can bring to my home country. That said, I almost moved to Peru. I was getting my residency in Peru when my circumstances there changed and I left.
Okay.
Um, I was almost, like, New Zealand's pretty cool. I might try to live there as well. You know, again, in the same way that when you ask a favorite place, I almost feel like what would the circumstances that would inspire me to settle down or retire in a specific place in the world would be less about the place and more about the experiencing I'm having there. Like, who am I with that inspires me to, and what am I doing? What activities are inspiring me to stay there in the long haul? And I can't predict that, because some of the most amazing things that have happened to me were not things that I could plan or predict. And I know that in my future, more of that same thing will happen. So I don't know. Well, I guess we'll have to see. Stay tuned.
Yes, okay. And ma'am, I have friends who are in Canada, Algeria. Algebari. I don't know, but it's A, and some of my friends also working in Quebec as a nurse because yeah, I was learning in French school here in Cebu, and then mostly my schoolmates there are nursing nurses, and then they learn or they school French school because they want to go to work on Quebec.
Oh, wow. Very cool.
Yes. Yeah.
That's nice. So how
Eh.
is your French now?
No, it was last 2000 and 15, I think, or 2007. Yeah, 2015 I've learned, but it's just only basic. But I've been there for 10 months because every modular it can convert for 2 months, and then I know how to speak a little bit, but it's just only basic words. Yeah. And if I heard French people speaking, I can understand, but hard for me to reply.
Totally. That's totally
Yeah.
understandable.
Yeah, because sometimes I forget to put the article or the yes. Because my husband was a French speaker. He is from Belgium, but he is living in the close border to France and Belgium. So
Mhm.
that's why he is a French speaker.
Ah,
But
there
he
we go.
passed away. Yeah, he passed
Ah,
away last 2020.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, thank you. And if you would like to interview me, mom, to your channel for you have a Filipino perspective and about my life because me and my husband been separated for 6 years after our marriage. Nothing met in person until he passed away on his country.
Wow.
Yes.
That's a long distance relationship. Woof.
Yes. And I have 15 years old daughter and his father also from Belgium, but he abandoned us for 15 years.
Wow. Holy moly. You've got a story
Yes,
to tell.
yeah, very, very. For me, I am overload on the difficulties of life, trial, all the problems I have, criticizing from Filipino people, judgment, even for my daughter. Filipino people judge to my daughter that she is daughter of a white man, but poor. Your father abandoned you. I am overload on that.
I'm so sorry. That must be a challenge.
Yes.
Mhm.
And ma'am, what country or countries did you live in during COVID-19 and was it an enjoyable country throughout the pandemic?
I was anywhere enjoyable during the pandemic. I don't know. Um, so I did I because I after 12 years of full-time travel
Mhm.
in 2018 I returned to Toronto and I got an apartment in Toronto, but I'm almost never there. However, because I had that apartment when the pandemic started getting legs, I was in
Yes.
Europe at the time, and it was a little bit ahead of the pandemic was happening a little faster in Europe than it was in certain other parts of the world.
Yeah.
So I saw what was happening. I was like, the Louvre Museum in Paris just closed, and Italy canceled Carnival. And I thought, this is Italy canceled Carnival? Like they don't do that. That's weird.
Yes.
And I heard this pandemic thing. I thought, you know what? I don't want to get stuck abroad. If I'm going to be anywhere, I want to be in my home country. So I canceled the plans that I had and I flew back to Toronto. And a few days later, everything locked down. So I stayed in Toronto throughout the worst of the pandemic. I was there for a year and a half, locked down. And Toronto had one of the longest lockdowns in the world. It was not good, but you know, I don't think it was good anywhere. So I'm not gonna cry the blues about how awful my life was. It was bad. I'm very glad that it's behind us now, or at least mostly behind us. We are learning as a global society to deal with
Yes.
the pandemic in better ways. And hopefully, should something like this happen again, we will collectively be able to deal with it a little differently. than we did this first time around because nobody knew what they were doing. So
Yes.
I was happy to have the place, but I was also sad because it became a bit of a prison for me. But I'm also happy now to say that I'm off and traveling the world again, even more so than normal. But I still do have my Toronto apartment, so I always have a place to come back to where I can relax, enjoy some of my
Mm.
comforts, enjoy all the restaurants that I like here, um,
Yes.
repack my stuff, and hit the road again, refreshed and energized.
Okay. Yeah, also here in the Philippines, it seems like we are back normal because there are quite a lot of tourists, foreign people, Korean, Chinese, Japanese come over here, the Philippines.
Nice. Good.
Okay. Ma'am, please name three countries in your opinion that have the most convenient and safe type transportation. I mean, such as modern and efficient trains, road cars, buses, etc.
Well, I think that Switzerland definitely bears a mention. It is not a cheap country, but the trains are safe and clean and efficient. I mean, everything is on time. It's unbelievable, like really on time. So that's really quite amazing. Um, where else that has a really good public transportation system that's safe? Um, I mean, that really takes the cake. Switzerland takes the cake, although a lot of Western Europe is pretty well set up. They have a very good infrastructure of public transportation. They've got trains that go straight from the airport into the city centers. They've got easy ways to get around with the metro. And the safety aspect really is um, subjective, I guess. But as long as you
Okay.
practice that street sense, and
Yeah.
you know what you're doing, I think that it's fine. Um, I mean, Berlin is amazing, and Berlin actually just got voted. I saw some poll, some
Um,
listing of the best public transportation systems in the world, and Berlin was number one. So, and I can attest to that. I was in Berlin not so long ago, and it was excellent. So again, yeah, I think Western Europe really has the corner on that market. Um, Canada is very safe, um, but depending on the city you go to, the public transportation system may be so-so. But Montreal, apparently, Montreal, Canada, has a very good, safe, easy to use public transportation system as well.
do you have any packing of clothes travel tips you can share with our viewers?
Put what you think you need out on the bed and take away half, and and then take what's left and take away half again. That's what you need.
Okay.
Make sure that everything is matches in terms of colors. So like
Mm,
make your entire wardrobe that you're going to take with you two or three colors. And because if everything matches, then you have the most outfit possibilities. Also, I'm a huge fan of merino
mm,
wool as a material. You might think wool is an odd choice, especially if you're going to go to a warm climate, but wool regulates your temperature, so it helps you keep you cool when it's
mm.
hot, and it helps keeps you warm when it's cold. It
No.
also is antimicrobial and antibacterial. So not only it won't smell bad, even if you wear it a lot. You also don't need to wash it as much because of that. It's anti-wrinkle or wrinkle resistant, so it will pack really
Mm,
well. Just fantastic, fantastic. I'm put together a bit of a travel challenge for myself on this 3 month trip that I'm doing to Europe this summer. I want to do it with only merino wool clothing.
oh,
So
nice.
we'll see how that goes.
Okay.
Stay tuned.
Okay. You were 16 years old when you visited the Great Wall of China. How did that experience at such a young age influence or impact your decision to become a digital nomad traveler?
Sharon, you you did your research. Wow. Okay. Woo.
Yeah, because Great Wall in China is I think it's a center attraction in China because they are nice, very nice.
Yeah, it's an epic experience, the Great Wall of China. And I was 16 years old when I was there because I was touring China with a ballet.
Mm.
I was in the orchestra of a ballet that was touring around China. And I mean, it was my first experience in Asia. It was my first really international travel experience. I think I'd been to the United States, but that was, you know, it almost didn't count. Like comparatively speaking, traveling to
Mm.
the United States and traveling to China, two totally different experiences.
Yes.
And it was not an easy trip. And there I experienced a lot of culture shock, and there were some really weird things that happened because it was, you know, in that time it was 1993 or something. I don't know. I don't remember how old I was, something like that. It was, and it was, you know, like the being in a communist country where they had a very firm hold and they were not really kind of receptive to tourists in the same way that maybe they are now. And so it was there were some weird things that happened. Let's just put it that way. Especially too because our group was not, because we were touring as a ballet with a
Mm.
company. It was a little bit different than what a tourist might experience. But all of that only served to make me more and more curious about the world around me, because I was out of my element, and I found myself uncomfortable. But I saw all these, I mean, everything was foreign. The language, the clothes, the architecture, the landscape, the food, that everything was foreign. And all I wanted to know was, like, how do people live here? What do they think about? What do they talk about around the
Okay.
dinner table? How do they work? Where do they shop? You know, I wanted to know how people lived around the world and in this country. So that definitely planted the seed for what would become the total travel bug. That 14 years later, when I was 30, I decided that I wanted to sell everything I owned and travel the world and really live around the world. And that is exactly what I did and what I've been doing for the last 17 years.
Okay, nice. Okay. And mom, how do you get mail when traveling long term?
Well, there are a few different ways that you can get mail when you're traveling long term. It depends on your personal situation.
Okay.
But one of the things that I recommend for people is to get a virtual mailing service or a virtual
Mm.
mailbox. And what that is it's a real address. It's a street address. So you know, you can make it your official address, but it's a company that will receive your mail, and they'll send you an email when you get mail, and
Mm.
they'll usually send you a photo of the front of the envelope, and they'll say, "This came in for
Okay.
you. What do you want us to do with it?" And you can say, okay, open it and scan the contents and send that to me, or no, I don't need it, throw it away, or yeah, I want that, forward it to me. So
Okay.
then that basically for a monthly fee, they'll do that for you. And some of them also have, you know, like check cashing services and fax services and all kinds of stuff. So it all depends on what you need.
Okay. And ma'am, have you ever attended the Sapporo Snow Festival in Japan or Ice Festival in any country?
I have
And
not,
okay.
because I don't like cold weather. I grew up in Canada. I know I don't like winter. So I've spent 17 years avoiding winter. When it gets cold somewhere, I go to the other hemisphere or the equator.
Yes, same on my friend. I had a friend. She is married with Swedish guy, but during winter in Sweden, they will come over here in the Philippines.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yes, and they will go back. They will go back to Sweden after the snow when it will be spring or summer.
Yep, there you go.
Yes. And what advice would you give Asian women who are not as adventurous as nomad travelers because they don't have the fortitude, courage, motivation, or funds to travel as nomads?
Well, I think that the challenge here is the reason they don't want to travel as a nomad, or the reason they're unable to, right? So like if it's a matter of fortitude or motivation, that's a very different situation than if it's a matter of having the funds or being from a country where you can't, Like if you just simply don't have the ability, like if you have parents who are older and you have to take care of your parents and you can't be a nomad, uh,
Yes.
what am I going to say? I'm sorry. Like maybe your situation will change at some point and you can do it later on.
Mm,
There's, but if it's something that you can change, like if it's a matter of not having the fortitude or the motivation, well, again, I'm sorry. If that's your situation and you're not willing to change that, or you're not able to change that, then I don't think everybody needs to be a nomad. It's a personal decision, and it's, quite frankly, it's not an easy lifestyle. So unless you're really excited and motivated to be a nomad, I'm not going to try to convince you otherwise. Because you're going to need that motivation to get through the work of being nomad and some of the challenges and difficult moments of being a nomad. However, there are some people out there who are, perhaps they really would like to, but they're overwhelmed by the work that they need to do. Like they're overwhelmed by all the stuff, and oh, how am I going to stay safe? How do I get my mail? And what do I pack? And what do I do with
yes.
my place? And oh my gosh, there's so much. Oh, tomorrow. I'll think about it tomorrow. And tomorrow never comes. So if you're that kind of person, then there's help. There's definitely help available for you. And I'm one of the people that can help you with that. I mean, definitely get my checklist of 10 things to do before you travel long term. You will see it broken down. These are the sort of things you need to think about. I'm also in the process of developing a group coaching cohort program that will take people. It's going to be a 6-week program that will take people week by week and step by step through going from I want to travel long term to I'm ready to go. So this is, if you need the help or the motivation, if you're really, it's, you just need that extra little push, that push is available to you in lots of different ways and places.
That's why it happened to me, because sometimes me, even local, I hesitate to go because of my daughter, because of her school, and it's difficult to leave her with even my relatives or even my family. I cannot trust.
Uh, and that's a shame. Do you, I mean, can you travel with her during the school holidays? Is that a possibility?
No, no.
Okay.
If ever, yeah, if ever, going to travel, nice that during summer, no class, because I think the limit of the school that the student can have absent 5 days or 1 week. After that, you need to talk to the principal's office for
Hmm.
that, because they will automatically drop the students if that, or maybe they will give you a warning.
Right. Wow. Okay. That's very interesting. I'm not accustomed to a school system where, like if you're absent for more than a certain number of days,
Mm,
that's it, you're out. That sounds very
yes.
restrictive. That I can understand that would be a challenge, especially if you don't feel comfortable leaving your daughter with family or friends. That definitely makes it more of a challenge. But she is 15, is that right?
Yes.
Okay, so only a few more years, and then she'll be able to take
Yes.
care of herself, and then you might be able to get away for a little while.
Yeah, and here, mom, the school is no ID, no uniform, no ID, no entry.
Wow. There you
Yes.
go.
So yeah, and then there is also a haircut, I don't know how to say, haircut style
Yep.
for the boys.
Yep. I believe it.
Yes. And mom, do you have any money earning techniques or method beside your YouTube channel when traveling? If so, can you share a few?
Any what?
Any I mean, do you have any money earning techniques or money methods beside your YouTube channel when traveling?
So for me personally, my YouTube channel is not my main source of income. My website would be my main source of income, and that's theprofessionalhobo.com. So
Mm.
I have articles and resources there, so I will make money off advertising and affiliate sales on that. I've also made a living for many, many years off and on as a freelance writer. So I write for other publications that pay me to write for them because I used to be a financial planner. I often write for financial publications, and those can pay very well. They pay better than travel publications do. So that's very helpful, and it's in a great remote career as well. But the reality is the pandemic blew the doors open on the possibilities for different ways that you can earn money remotely. And because, of course, during the pandemic, companies either had to go remote or
Yes.
become obsolete. So a lot of jobs that formerly had to be done in an office or in person have now been redesigned to be done online and remotely. And a lot of those companies that went remote out of necessity have realized that, hey, wait a minute, the overhead costs of running a company remotely are less than
Yes.
keeping expensive offices. So a lot of people's jobs have remained remote. And with that remote job, you have the ability to do that from anywhere in the world. So what I do specifically to make a living is almost irrelevant these days because it's certainly not the only way. But the three categories of income that you can earn remotely include working as an employee for a company, and that could be a lot of different things in a lot of different industries, right?
Yes.
Working as a freelancer, like I was doing as a freelance writer. So basically, you're an entrepreneur, but you are working for one or two or three or however many clients. So it's almost like you're working for a bunch of different bosses, right? As a freelancer. So if you're a
Okay.
remote employee, you get one paycheck from one boss. If you're a
Yeah.
freelancer, you're kind of a business owner, but you're working for multiple bosses. Or you can be an entrepreneur where you build an entire business and you become the boss. So
Exactly. Yes. And mom, any questions for me or comments before ending the interview?
I'm curious how you started your YouTube channel and what you hope to accomplish with it.
Okay. Actually, I had a friend of mine. He told me that what if I'm gonna try to be YouTuber or to be vlogger and share what's happening in the Philippines, giving advice to foreign guy, not to be in bad Filipina or scammer Filipina because mostly there are some scammer Filipina, and then I would like also to share the way of living here in the Philippines, and then cost of living, and then the way of renting a house or condos, how much it costs, and then showing also our tradition and culture, and share my experience of life, and then tell to them also about what what happenings of other Filipino life that I encounter already, what I heard or see on my environment, and then I told to him no because I was so very ashamed woman. I am not comfortable to be in front of camera or to be in so much people because since my since I had my daughter, I just focused to be or hands on as a mother because that's my responsibility. And then yeah, after what's happening to me, that the father of my daughter ghost me for when she was 1 year and 2 months. But when she was a baby, her his support was on and off until he stopped supporting us. When my daughter was 1 year and 3 months, he ghost us. But I carry everything, all the people judgment on me, criticize, looking down on me, that yeah, that makes me strong, that people who put me down more, I told to myself, okay, I would like to show them that what mood I dumped, I must stand up with my own when on my own way. So
Mm.
yes, because I told to myself, I don't care, I ignore, I let everything to God, because I know that it's happened for me with a reason. So that's why I create, because I would like to help also to the foreign or Western guy who really want to be have a Filipina companion or girlfriend, because I know that I already encountered that there are some foreigner who had bad experience with Filipino woman, but not all the Filipino women are like that. So that's I create until I was so very ashamed to be in front of camera on the first, and then I told to myself, okay, this is it. What if I'm gonna try, and then until I enjoy, but it's tired, but yeah, sometimes it's really tired, but I told to myself, okay, this is my job, so I'm gonna force myself to do. But sometimes I cannot upload video because I need to take rest, and especially I sometimes I went to bed late and I wake up at 4 a.m. in the morning because my daughter go to school, and she will be at school at 5:30 in the morning.
Wow, that's
Yes.
early. That's
Yes.
early.
Yes.
Well, I'm glad that you have a mission and there's a message and inspiration that you can provide to people. And I'm glad that you are pushing beyond your discomfort and your fear of being in
Mm.
front of the camera because you're fabulous in front of the camera. So, and the more you practice at it, the better you'll be.
Yes, exactly. But actually it's a big help also because my daughter, sometimes I include my daughter to my video, and my daughter was so shy girl also, because what she is doing here is from school, home, school,
Mhm,
and then she never go out if she is not with me. And then
mhm,
fortunately I am lucky because I raise her in a good way, because mostly mom here in the Philippines, there are young teenager that they spend the whole night and in the middle of the and in the street drunk, smoke. Yes, but yeah, I had a friend of mine, her daughter is 13 years old, but she is a drunker and then spent the whole night in the street with a young boy teenager, and then she has already boyfriend at 13 years old and then smoke. But I don't like that because it's our daughter, and then for me, I my priority is my daughter. Better that I don't eat than my daughter.
well, that makes you a very loving, careful, caring mother.
Y-
So good for you.
yes, exactly, because mostly, especially if I go to the mall or something, instead to buy dress for me, I told to myself, no, I'm gonna buy dress for my daughter. So I buy it and then bring her here at home as gift.
Yes,
Yes.
very nice. I like it.
Yeah, because we are she is not also demanding girl, I mean demanding child. Yes, and I like her also because her mindset is she prefer to help people who needs help, because mostly I heard her that, mama, if I will have become rich, or if I will have money, I will help uh, children who are in the street, living in the street. Yes, because they are so very pity. And if we are in the public vehicles and there was a old lady or old woman ride on the same vehicles, she will give her place to the old lady.
Nice. Very good. Well,
Yes.
you've raised a very conscientious, polite young woman. So good for you. And you've done it on your own, and that is commendable.
Yes, it's not easy to be mother and to be father, but I am happy because I did it with me myself and with help of my family. And I also experienced that my auntie kicked me out and kicked me and my daughter out of their house immediately. I experienced that.
Hmm.
Mm.
Wow. Well, there's a saying that we have in English that says, "Whatever doesn't kill you makes you stronger." And I feel like as a virtue of all the experiences you've had, you're a
Mm,
very strong woman now.
exactly, yes. Because I keep praying and my daughter is my strength.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes. Yes. And ma'am, if you would like me to be on your channel to interview me and to hear about Philippines, what is Philippines, what the people way of living here, just let me know, and I will I am willing.
All
Okay.
right, you got it. I will let you know.
Okay. Okay. And ma'am, I will not stay you a long time because I know you are very busy. And
Yes.
everyone, I will put Ma'am Nora's Nance channel in the video description, and please subscribe to her channel because she provides the full of travel content and sing as well, because I know you have a good voice, and she is complete package. And please also subscribe to my channel as well. So God bless everyone, and ma'am, God bless to you. You are a very nice, you have beautiful and nice smile. I like your smile.
Thank you, Sharon. Thank you for this time. It's been a lot of fun. And thank you, everybody.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. God bless. Thank you,
Bye.
everyone. Bye.